So 2 hours from now, I will have taught my last class in my current job. I'm gonna hop in my Subaru and go on a 10-day solo road trip. And there's two main reasons why I'm doing this. The first one being is that from here on out, I'm my own boss. And I want to figure out how I want to grow. What do I want to do in this next year? There's so many ideas I have in my head, and I just need to find a way to roll them out. The second reason being is I realize I've never had anything that's truly my own. You know, I've done family trips before, I've done friendships before, and I love them because I love people. But I've never had anything that's just by myself, for myself. And so I'm hoping on this trip to just find ways of being okay with being alone, you know, find out how I want to grow this next year. And I plan on documenting the process along the way. So enjoy it, guys. So the first stop on this road trip is Carlsbad Caverns. Only problem is it's 8 hours away. So the whole day is just gonna be spent driving. I found a hotel right outside the park because you can't camp there because it's just a cave. So I'm gonna spend the night there and then try to be the first one in the cave at 8 in the morning. Also, you'll notice on this trip, I'm wearing a lot of moonshine sweet tea apparel and I'm gonna be drinking a lot of moonshine sweet tea. And the reason is, back in my college days, I did a couple commercials for them. And I just absolutely fell in love with the company from the inside and out. I love the tea, and I loved everyone that worked in the company. And so we stayed in touch over the years. And when I was going on this trip, I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to get their brand out there and for me to get some more free sweet tea. So I reached out to them and see if they wanted to help out in any way, and they were completely on board. So they hooked me up with a bunch of sweet tea and some outfits. And now I got enough tea to last me the whole trip. So if you haven't heard of them yet, it's Moonshine Sweet Tea, an Austin-based company, and I cannot speak highly enough of them. So right before I took this road trip, I was thinking to myself, why don't you go on more road trips, Billy? You know, you have a Subaru, you have the Weekend Warrior, you're all set to go. And then it occurred to me halfway through this drive that it takes 10 hours to get out of Texas. And so my first day on the way to Carlsbad Caverns is just 8 hours of driving. And so here I am, which I'm okay with. You know, I got a couple audiobooks to get through. I got some songs I can get through.
The alchemist smiled. The wind approached the boy and touched his face. It was
walk onto my door, then we kissed a little more.
But then, I remember last time when I took my first road trip to Big Bend, Texas, with a couple of college friends. We were in my Hyundai, and we started to get low on gas. And instead of pulling over at this gas station I saw, I'm so stubborn, I thought to myself, we're gonna drive through it and hit the next one. And of course, we almost didn't make it because we ran low on gas. And so we had to turn from this little town called Iran, Texas. And now I'm making the same drive across Texas, and I'm still just as stubborn as I was when I was in college, and I'm still running out of gas. And I still had to turn around and go to Iran, Texas to get more gas. So 5 years later, same person, just as stubborn, but it's brought me back to Iran, Texas. So let's see if it's brought me back here for a reason. But that is why I don't go on more road trips, because it's impossible to get out of Texas. Alright, so on this trip, I don't plan on working out that much besides taking a couple hikes. But the hotel I'm staying at right now has a perfect pool that no one's in right now. So I'm going to try and take advantage of that, get a couple laps in before I head out to Carlsbad Caverns. Guys, this cave is absolutely huge. I mean, when you walked in, it just takes your breath away. You feel like you're on a different planet. I did the whole hike, not too bad, only like a 3-4 mile hike. But I think I must be the only one in this entire cave. I got here 8 in the morning, right when it opened, and I haven't seen a single person here since. And so the entire hike through is just dead silence. It's a cool feeling to have. So now I'm just sitting down, enjoying the silence, and I'll probably hike back up pretty soon. So I'm still the only one I've seen in this cave. It's still dead quiet everywhere. And the only thing I can think about is the first people who had to explore this cave with just a candlestick, and what they must have had to go through, and how scared they must have been. Maybe not, because I've seen a lot of cave movies they probably haven't seen growing up. So that kind of scarred my view of cave exploration. But this is the first cave where I feel like I'm on a different planet. So my biggest tips for Carlsbad Caverns, if it's the first time going there, is make sure you get there early, right when the park opens. Because I can't imagine trying to enjoy that cave when there's hordes of people all around you, because the path is only like 4 feet wide. So you're shoulder to shoulder with people, you have nowhere to go. But when I was the only one in there, I could do whatever I want. I could sit down and enjoy the silence, and I could just sit in there and take in the moment of how immensely huge this cave is. Other piece of advice is, if you're the adventurous type, the self-guided tour is not going to do it for you. You know, it's paved, there's handrails the whole way, it's well lit. It's cool to see, but it didn't feel like an adventure for me. It felt like I was just kind of taking a leisure stroll. So, if you're the adventurous type, book ahead of time. Check the schedule for when they do the more hard hikes, like Slaughter Cave, and do those. Because otherwise, you'll be like me, you'll take like a leisure stroll through, and you'll still enjoy it, trust me, but it won't be that adventure you're seeking. The last piece of advice I can give is, just make sure you take in the moment. You'd be tempted to walk through the trail as fast as possible to get to the end, but just make sure you really sit back and enjoy it, because that was unlike any experience I've ever had. I've never seen a cave that huge before, or that quiet. So, I highly encourage Carlsbad Caverns in the National Park. It's an experience unlike any other I had before. So, the reason I stayed in Santa Fe was this place called Meow Wolf. I've seen it all over the internet, never had a chance to go, so I thought finally I'm going to go to this place. There's a bunch of artists got together and they built this like imaginary world with full of props and like a full-size house inside this building, and you can just walk around and get lost in it, as you guys see in the clips. But if you actually go in the house, there's a main story you can follow, and if you follow the story, it's like you're living in a movie trying to solve the case. So that was my favorite part. I spent literally 3 hours trying to figure out the story. So if you guys have a chance, go to Santa Fe, check Meow Wolf out. So it's 6 in the morning right now. I'm on my way to Pagosa Springs, Colorado, before I head to Mesa Verde. I'm only going to Pagosa Springs because they have hot springs there. And my sister just came from there and said they're amazing, and I've not showered in a while. So I'm going to go there, hop in, relax for a little bit, get cleaned up, then I have to head to Mesa Verde National Park to catch a 1:30 tour. So it's going to be a busy morning. So, after I hiked Mesa Verde, it ended up storming. So my crank ground was completely soaked. So I decided to pick up and drive all the way 2 hours to Canyonlands National Park. And I got here and I was so tired, I just passed out in my car. I didn't even set my tent. And so now I'm up bright and early at 6 in the morning. I'm going to do the main hike here at Mesa Arch. It's only 0.5 miles. And then I'm going to try to hike Arches National Park, and then drive all the way to Bryce Canyon. So, we'll see how far we get. I just finished hiking Delicate Arch in Arches National Park. I finally got to see the arch that's in all those famous pictures. And honestly, it was cool to see, but I feel like just driving around Utah in general is just as breathtaking as just seeing that little arch. It's not as big as I thought it'd be in person. And I think that what took away from the moment was that it was crowded. The whole path was shoulder to shoulder. So, if Arches National Park is like this, I can only imagine how bad Bryce Canyon is going to be, and I can only imagine how bad Zion's going to be. So, I'm heading over to Bryce Canyon right now. We'll see if I can find a camping spot, or I might just have to rough it out in my car again. So it's like 6 in the morning right now. I actually slept surprisingly well. And we're going to make some breakfast. We're going to go on a hike. Then we're going to head out to Great Basin National Park for breakfast. Bacon, cheese, eggs, bread, and moonshine sweet tea. Okay guys, here I am at the base of Wheeler Peak. It's about like an 8-mile hike to 13,000 feet, and that should be no problem. The only downside is though, I'm being chased by a storm right now. I say it's pretty windy and pretty lightning-y up there. So I'm gonna try to beat the storm up there and hopefully beat it back down. So that's where I gotta go, and that's what's chasing me right now. Well, I think I'm close. I'm definitely over the tree line. I had to come up this, which is basically a straight incline the whole way up. So that kicked my ass. And now I have that to go, I hope. Well, I made it, guys. Yeah, guys, that was a pain in the ass hike. But now that I'm up here, it's relaxing. So, I'm just gonna sit down, have lunch, and just relax. Since I'm all alone at 13,000 feet in the air, it's something I've always wanted to try. So the entire time I'm trying to look around me and take in the beauty of this scenery, but every time I look away, I almost roll my ankle because the ground is nothing but pebbles I'm kicking around. It's not even a path. It's just like someone spilled gravel here and said that's good enough. So every step, I'm getting closer and closer to rolling my ankle, just like that. But I'm close. I just gotta go all the way down there, and then all the way down there. Alright, so I just got to Zion, and this place is absolutely packed. I heard in summertime it gets packed, but for some reason it didn't click to me, so I came here anyways. And thankfully I was able to get the last spot available at the campsite. So, fate is on my side for now. think my biggest takeaway from this trip is that when you're on your own, you have no one to complain to, no one to blame but yourself. Just as it started raining, I was sitting down, ready to eat my hot dogs, get my s'mores going. It started to pour. And I sat there for a second, and I wanted to yell. And I wanted to complain to someone, but I had no one. It was all on me. It was my choice to come here. So what do? I sucked it up, put everything away, sat in my Subaru, and I'm waiting it out. But that's probably my biggest life lesson from this trip, is that take life into your own hands. You know, as I sit here too, this reminds me of the last time I came to Zion. I was with my college buddies. We came during wintertime, when no one was here, found a perfect campsite, clear skies, perfect night, s'mores and all, went to sleep. Halfway through the night, woke up, our tent was flooded. What do? We all scoot a little closer. We're too lazy to get out of the tent. Go back to sleep. Wake up 5 minutes later. Tent's even more flooded. Get even closer. Then finally, one of our friends gives up, goes inside the car first. Then we all slowly but surely go inside the car. We pack the tent up in the rain, put it away soaking wet, and drive off and call the road trip a quits. But for some reason, Zion and I do not get along. But I'm more stubborn now, so I'm going to wait it out.
I heard the news today that you're not mine to keep. Don't struggle too much now, what I can.
So I just left Zion Park, and I'm heading towards the Grand Canyon. And on the way, I don't know how I didn't remember this, but Antelope Canyon is there, and also the Horseshoe Bend. And I've always seen pictures of those, but never actually been there before. So I see a sign for it out of nowhere, so I had to pull over, and it's a quick mile hike to the Horseshoe Bend.
It's only fire, it's only love, it's only slaughter.
And I can only imagine how packed the Grand Canyon is going to be, because Bryce was packed and Zion was packed. So I don't know how I got camping at those sites, but if I'm still going to continue just as lucky in this trip, maybe I'll get a site at the Grand Canyon, but we'll see.
Be gentle to that body on the shelf. It's only water, it's only fire, it's only love. It's only slaughter, we're only liars, it's only blood. The only thoughts I'm having are thoughts safe within my head.
You know, when I came to the Grand Canyon, I didn't think I'd have any alone time. But if you go off the trail far enough, and you go close to an edge far enough, you can find that one spot, and you get the whole canyon to yourself. And I was just sitting here reflecting on the whole trip. You know, it was like living out a self-help book. Each national park taught me a new thing. And to end it with this view, I wouldn't have it any other way. After this, I get in my car, drive straight home, and I start my new life. But I will never forget this spot in this moment.